Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Hell of a Summer, written and directed by Finn Wolfhard and Billy Bryk, who also star in the movie in a side role, but the main character is actually a character named Jason. He's a man who's reaching an age where he is too old for his love.
Yeah.
And his love is summer camps. Too old to attend the summer camp, but he's now reaching the age where he's too old to even counsel the summer camps.
Yeah.
And he's got to make a decision in his life whether he's going to keep doing this summer camp thing for the rest of his life or if he's going to go to college and do something else. And this is his last hurrah. But unfortunately for him, a serial killer has shown up on campus and is killing the counselors one by one. So it is up to him to figure out who is doing it, while the rest of the counselors think he's the one killing people. So needless to say, this is a slasher movie, but it's also a summer camp comedy.
Yeah.
Think if you took something like Meatballs, like a comedic coming-of-age summer camp movie, and smashed it together with something like Friday the 13th, and you're in the ballpark of what this movie's doing.
Yeah.
I thought this movie was really funny. I don't think it's perfect, but I thought this was a really funny movie.
Yeah, it's a watchable comedy.
Absolutely.
You know?
As a summer camp comedy, it works the best, because the comedy is great, the characters are well written, and the twists and turns in the plot work pretty well. As a slasher movie, I feel like it's a little light, if that makes sense.
It's a little less of a slasher movie and more of a comedy.
The slashing does happen in the movie, but so much of it is off screen, and some of that's by design. We'll talk about that in the spoiler section, but it does mean that most of the actual on-screen kills in the movie happen in the later half of the movie, and they're not as gory as they probably should be, given the kind of movie this is trying to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, as a summer camp comedy, pretty good. As a slasher movie, it's just okay. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with this.
It's got a decent twist.
It's got a really good twist.
Yeah.
The script for this movie is better than the actual movie, in my opinion.
I would agree.
The script is actually really tight. It's really well written. I love the twists and turns, and it manages to subvert expectations with these summer camp slasher movies.
Yeah.
But the actual, execution of the movie is a little uneven.
Yeah.
I've already talked about the balance between the summer camp comedy and the slasher movie. The other thing that's a little uneven in this movie is the style. Half of the movie feels like it's trying to be like a VHS slasher movie, and the other half of the movie is trying to be a little bit more stylish. And the balance between those two movies feels a little off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
It's like occasionally you'll be watching a scene and it's just shot like a straight-to-video VHS slasher movie. Everything's pretty much just point and shoot.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it'll have like a random stylistic flourish, like a slow motion shot or like some sort of cool oneer, and it'll just come out of nowhere and it won't mesh with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because you find yourself going whoa, whoa. I feel like if you were going to go with the shot on shitio kind of formula, you should have really stuck with it.
Yeah, you should have pulled back on the style.
Yeah.
Because the style is very bare bones in those kinds of movies. But at the same time, the other movie that you get hints of, the more stylistic movie, I'd be cool with that movie if it was that movie the whole way through.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. If you've seen the movie, it makes total sense.
Yeah. When you watch it, you'll see it. There'll be moments where you're like, oh man, this feels very raw.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they'll do something they'll do a film school cool shots.
Yes. Well, it's a good shot, but it doesn't really mesh with the rest of the movie.
Exactly. It's kind of weird. The acting in this movie is pretty much perfect. Everyone plays their parts well. Every character kind of fits an initial stereotype, but as the movie goes on, the writing allows them to expand beyond that stereotype, so they're not just that stereotype. And when they are just that stereotype, it's for comedic effect and it works really well. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie, but it's kind of a perfect example of a movie that's a 6 or a 7 out of 10, C+ range.
Yeah, I would say C+.
That's kind of the realm it sits in. Even though I saw this movie in theaters, it probably would be better served to watch on streaming, so you probably should go see Sinners instead and check this out on streaming, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But with that said, let's move on to the spoiler section.
Sure.
So we can talk about all the stuff that's really cool in the movie, but we can't really talk about in the pre-spoiler section.
Right.
So, here we go. All right, so the first spoiler of this movie is that no, the main character, Jason, is not the actual slasher in the movie. The slasher in the movie is actually two of the other counselors who actually are some of the first to die in the movie. So it's kind of like a twist, like, oh, they didn't actually die. They faked their own deaths to put them off of everyone's radar and then started killing everyone else one by one because they want to be famous on social media for killing people.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same motivation as Scream 4, basically, going on here.
It worked as a twist, but it also gave the movie a problem, which is the deaths aren't that gory. They did that so you wouldn't tip off to the fact that they weren't dead.
Yes, most of the kills in the first half of this movie happen off screen. You see a person run into the killer and then it'll cut away. When it comes to those two specifically, it makes a lot of sense why they did that, because those two characters aren't actually killed. But there are other characters who do die in that very same way and you don't get to see how they died, which is unfortunate because this is a slasher movie, so I want to see some Tom Savini effects going on.
Yeah. You want to see heads fly.
Yeah, exactly. They do start doing that in like the last act of the movie, but by that point, it feels like it's almost too late.
Yeah, it does. It does. It feels like what they really should have done. There are two initial kills of the cold open.
Yes.
And it feels like they should have gone hog wild on those.
Because those two are definitively dead, they should have killed them like brutally on screen.
Yeah. It should have been absolutely fucking gory and disgusting.
And to be completely honest, the way the opening scene is edited feels very weird.
It does.
There's a point in which a character is killed off screen and then a character comes across them dead with like their ukulele in like their throat or something. The way it's edited feels very awkward.
It is a little awkward, yeah.
Because those two are definitively not the killers, they should have allowed those ones to be more on screen.
Oh yeah, that should have been just absolutely bloody disgusting.
Then you could have been more forgiving, as the initial kills at the beginning aren't that way.
Yeah, the two fake outs aren't that way.
Yeah.
You know.
The one kill that I think completely delivers in this, though, is the theater kid's death, axed in the head, basically. That's probably the best kill in the movie, which is unfortunate because some of the other kills would have been the best if you got to see it.
Yes.
It is cool that they do the Friday the 13th thing where they stumble across people's bodies so you get an idea, okay, this person was decapitated, but that only does so much. As a slasher fan, I want to see the actual slashing, not just the aftermath, you know? Leave the aftermath for the thrillers, right?
Yes.
But that being said, the actual like twist of, okay, it's actually the beautiful popular girl and her jockey boyfriend are the actual killers, and they want to be social media famous.
That twist definitely works.
I do like that they changed their plan halfway through the movie where they're like, wait, hold on. What if we actually pin it on this Jason guy? I mean, his name's Jason.
Right.
Like Jason Voorhees. Like it's just sitting there, and he's also too old to be here. And then we get to be the surviving victims of this slashing thing.
Yes.
Which I thought was a cool little twist on everything going on and allowed a different dynamic, because now you're dealing with a main character who everyone thinks is the killer and he's desperately trying to save them. It's almost like Tucker and Dale.
Yeah. What if the guy everyone was convinced was a slasher killer was actually trying to save everybody?
Yeah, he's the only one who knows what's going on and is trying to save everybody.
Yeah.
But everyone else is convinced he's the killer, so they're all trying to like scramble.
One joke fucking ruled for me. And that is when the boyfriend is killing the one guy, and it turns out he's got an erection.
Yes. That whole bit where just like, are you hard,
Are
bro?
you hard for me?
Stop looking. Look away. Don't you know that pussy is better when you've killed somebody? The actual comedy in this movie fucking works.
Yeah. The jokes work.
A great example of a joke that I thought was just fucking perfect is when the goth girl dies and she gets stabbed and she just goes, finally, and then falls over.
Just done.
That was fucking great. I also like the reoccurring bit with the guy with the peanut allergy, and then when the killer goes to kill him, he covers the knife in peanut butter. I wish we actually got to see him stab him instead of cutting away after he puts the peanut butter on the knife, but that joke was pretty fucking good.
Yes.
That was a good setup and payoff. I also like the one douchebag character who everyone kind of agrees is a douchebag, how he gets to have his heroic moment at the end.
Yeah.
But even still, he's still very insecure about it. That's the guy who's actually played by by Billy Bryk, the co-director.
The co-writer.
Yeah, the co-writer and co-director of the movie. Which makes sense that those two are basically like the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the movie with their little interactions throughout the movie. So it makes sense that they're the filmmakers.
Yeah.
So if you're into watching funny movies set in a summer camp, then this is definitely a must-watch. If you're looking for a gory slasher movie, it does not deliver on the gore, and the slashing is kind of so-so in the movie. So, you know, I will give them this. If their goal was to feel like an 80s movie that got butchered by the MPAA and all the gore
they
out,
succeeded in that.
They succeeded in that. They successfully recreated that feeling.
Yeah.
Where can I find you, Count Jackula?
Oh, you can find me here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every weekday. Well, what about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me on various social media platforms, but these days, I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag finally. The hashtag finally, that way I know, that way Jack knows, that way the whole world knows that you finally got to achieve your goth girl dreams of becoming a ghost for real. What more can you ask for, really?
Yeah.
And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.